Hey, I'm Nick Hawks with Gristle King, and today we're answering the question, will an exceptional GNSS antenna help with your Onocoy installation? Let's get into it. Okay, so here we are with the standard antenna that comes with a Sparkfun setup. This is a great antenna. This works really well. It was working super well for me. And then I got interested, just like every other deepened project, is how can I do this better? How can I make it higher? How can I get more signals? How can I get this thing to earn more tokens? Really, how can I contribute to the network more? And so I went down this path of finding better and better antennas, stumbling onto choke ring antennas. Now, what's a choke ring antenna? Easiest way to describe it is to show you. It's one of these guys right here. These are all the choke rings around it. And what it does is when it's set up, all of these choke rings make it so that signals that are coming in from what's called multipath, it bounces off a building, instead of hitting the antenna and showing a delay in time, it just doesn't hit, it hits one of the choke rings, and everything ends up being a little bit cleaner as far as the signal path and blocking multipath. The other thing a choke ring helps out with is it sets, and this is all kind of nerdy GNSS stuff, it makes it so there's a very stable phase center, so exactly where the center of the antenna is, and making sure that you're getting the most precise readings possible when you're doing RTK or any geodetic surveying, or you're measuring tectonic plate shift. Now, I'm not doing any of those things here on my roof, but I'm always curious, how do you get better and better? How do you do the best job possible? So this whole thing started with me thinking I could probably 3D print a choke ring and wrap it in foil and have something good enough. I found a GNSS guy online who had published basically an image of a choke ring antenna as part of some research, and I thought to myself, maybe I could 3D print that thing, cover it in foil, and it'll be good. It turns out that was much more difficult than I thought. I reached out to the man, his name is Mohammed, he works at Calian antennas. We started talking about choke rings, and as we started talking, I said, hey, would you guys be interested in sending down some professional antennas? Looks like that printing a 3D antenna is probably gonna be beyond not only me, but most people who are involved in this project, and I'll test them against the antenna that I have, and we'll see how well it works. So, the bottom line up front is that the really nice antennas are way better. They get more signals. They're way more precise. So if you're using them as a professional GNSS surveyor, 100% worth it. For Onocoy, because it's based on a network of a bunch of diverse antennas, so far as of spring 2025, as long as you have a baseline good enough antenna, which the Sparkfun is, you don't actually need to buy a really nice antenna because it won't make any difference. So Calian was very kind and generous and sent down a couple antennas from Canada for me to check out. This is the VP6000, so the Vera phase, and it's got a TNC female connector. It screws right on, all of them screw the same mount on. I thought this was kind of the coolest antenna because it looks cool, it's super small, it's not this big massive thing, and this worked really well. The other antenna they sent me was the VC6050. This is the Vera choke. So you can see all the choke rings on there. This is a bigger thing. I want to say this is about 12 pounds. That other one is, I don't know, a couple pounds. The VC6050 is what you're going to get if you're going to do full-on professional base station surveying and you want the very best that's out there. This thing is awesome. This saw easily the most signals. Super impressive. Both antennas mounted on the same all thread that I already had. That was super straightforward and easy. It does take some finagling and a lot of work to make sure that this is pretty stable. It's never going to be as stable as if you bolt it onto a house, but for a lot of people in the deep end world, they're not going to bolt it on their house. They're going to want to put it onto a non-penetrating mount. So you want to make sure you have lots of weight on the non-penetrating mount, so it's not going to have any instability in the base. You want to screw it down super tight, and then you want to make a direct connection to the mount itself. There are some mounts out there that you can use with smaller antennas that make it a little bit easier to set the mount up, but for putting these really high-end antennas out there, you want everything to be as stable and as perfect as possible. When I had both antennas up and we were testing them, my neighbor and I went around the neighborhood testing or checking out all the property lines, making sure they were accurate. They were. City of San Diego has done a pretty good job of that. And so it was really useful to be able to say, hey, down to a centimeter, this is really what we need to see, and this is what we're able to see. And that didn't seem to matter for our applications, whether we're using the stock antenna or these two antennas here. Now, we're not professional surveyors, we're just casual hobbyists checking this thing out. As I started talking to some of the antenna and GNSS specialists at Onocoy, they got really excited about me being able to measure tectonic shift with some of the big dogs here with the fancy phase center and the choke ring and the rest of it. I'm sure that's possible. Again, that's not what most people in Onocoy are going to be looking for. But I thought it would be really cool to check out. So at the end of the day, the question you're probably asking is it worth it for me to spend 2,000, 3,000, 6,000, 10,000, whatever it is for a choke ring antenna? And the answer is, for Onocoy, it doesn't matter right now. It may matter in the future, but right now, spring of 2025, it doesn't. If you're doing professional grade work and you want the very best antennas out there, totally go for these. Of the two, they just do two different things in different ways. I'm not a GNSS professional. Calian has told me that the performance of them is pretty close, and that they had built this guy so that it would be really easy. It's super light. This thing could probably mount on a vehicle as well as mounting on a base station piece. That this is kind of top of the line technology here, and super rad to see. So really grateful to Calian for supporting this, for lending me these antennas. We do have a small problem with the tariffs and the taxes going back and forth, but I've paid for all of that. So I haven't been paid anything for this by Calian, and it's been super fascinating for me to do. I do have Onocoy as a client, so in one sense this is a paid review, but it's certainly nothing to do with the antennas. They don't pay me to do that. This is just an exciting and fun side thing to do. So hopefully that's super helpful for you as you are deciding whether or not you want to upgrade your antennas, either now or in the future, whether you're using Onocoy or something else. Rock and roll, I'm out.